So the power is out, and we have a house generator that normally comes on. Now, one of the things that we want to do with this whole project is to operate our house through the battery bank. Okay, let's back up. We're building a solar array structure in the backyard with a playhouse underneath. I made a video about the first part. The plan is for the solar power to funnel into the battery bank in the workshop, which we'll use for a variety of things, one of those being to power our house in the case of a power outage. Right now, we're in a power outage. Now we have part of this battery bank set up. So for the first time ever now, we're doing a test where we shut down the house generator, and now we are running completely off of the batteries. So let's go take a look and see how much power we're actually using. Got my umbrella, I don't want to get the camera wet. So currently we got our batteries. So we started out with only 41% of our battery bank here now because we weren't prepared for this. So 1100 watts being used. It's going to fluctuate a little bit, but that's basically not keeping anything non-essential on. You know, that's powering the fridge right now, freezer, some lights. I think there's a TV going. So the only large appliance that we left going is the water pump because we need water, and that's powered because we have our own well, because we live in the country, so we need that water pump to pump up water. So the water pump is going to pull maybe like 2000 watts when it's on, maybe a surge of up to like 5000 watts, depends, but it's like in that territory. So a good amount of power. So this inverter can deliver a constant of about 5500 to 6000 watts, not surging. But any more than that, and the breaker's gonna pop anyway. Let me give you a little overview of this battery system right now in case you are looking to do something similar or whatever. So first of all, I have the SunGold power inverter, 6000 watts, 240 volt. I have that set up with two large bus bars that can handle 250 amps. And I have that connected to, right now, 6 renogy batteries, but the system, I'm going to have it connected to 10 batteries. That is what this is going to look like. So 10 batteries of 240 watts each, so about a 24K watt hour system. So 24,000 watt hours in terms of battery power. That's the idea here that the solar is going to funnel into. Now these are the Renogy Smart Lithium Iron Phosphate batteries. It's a 48 volt, 50 amp hours. They have these smart heating function built in where if they get too cold, they will just immediately heat up because, you know, batteries don't like it when it gets too cold if if the heat is not on. So that's a really nice feature. They also have this internal balancing system. If they're connected to multiple batteries, the load will be balanced, which is also a nice feature. So eventually I'm going to have this connected to multiple solar charge controllers to deal with the different voltages coming in, because I'm going to have multiple different solar panel systems and it's not all going to be the same voltage. Because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do in terms of, balancing the series and the parallel and being flexible while still minimizing the amount of wires. Anyway, now the one thing that I do have to keep in mind is that my solar panels that I'm using are like 30 volts each, something like that. And these are 48 volts, these batteries. And the solar must be higher in terms of voltage coming in than the batteries. So I'll need to at least connect two together in terms of bringing that voltage back, up in order for it to go into the batteries. Now I have this being controlled or read through this Renogy One, which is one of their monitoring systems that I can use because it's designed directly to go with these Renogy batteries. Now the Renogy One is nice because it's controlled through Wi-Fi and not just Bluetooth. A lot of systems are managed through Bluetooth, which means that you have that, like 30 feet radius, so you won't be able to check it on your phone if you're too far away, whereas the Renogy One system, you can, anywhere you're on Wi-Fi, you can check it, which is a really nice feature. Now, in general, though, I have to say that we've been using these batteries for some time now, and we haven't had an issue whatsoever. They're really nice batteries. They're really heavy. The casing is really nice. Now, we have them on this rack here, so this rack can handle a lot of weight, obviously. And of course, you want to make sure you have some airflow around and that there is no heat buildup. That's not good for batteries either. So yeah, still kind of a work in progress. Going to, increase it from 6 to 10, but that's the general gist of it, and that is the plan. The house generator can go up to 14,000 watts, and it's using propane, to power that. But if we are not using anywhere near that, if we're using only like 1600 watts in an idle state, when we're not really doing anything, that is a lot of power that's just being wasted. And you're paying for that propane, which it gets expensive, so a lot of that power is just going nowhere. That's why this is so much more efficient if you can have a battery system and only use what you need. So what happens here? Okay, so the generator senses that there is no power, okay, and it automatically comes on after a number of seconds. So what we did is, first of all, to go into the breaker box and shut off the power coming in from the street at all, so that it's disconnected, right? Next, we went in here and turned on, so battery or power going into the house. Now the house generator, it senses, okay, we have power coming in, so that shuts off. So now we are disconnected from the street, we have no power coming in, the house generator senses power, and we're only drawing from the batteries. Now, in order to do that, we also shut off all major appliances like AC, heat, range, hot water heater. So yeah, we have no hot water, and we're not going to do any cooking on the stove, anything like that. So anything that's going to spike and draw a lot of energy, which you don't really need to do anyway in a limited situation. Now you may ask, well, how will you know when the power turns back on? Well, lucky for us, we have a neighbor across the street who also has a house generator, and it's kind of loud. You can hear it, so we'll hear when that one shuts off. So then we'll know, okay, power's back on, and then we'll just reverse the process. We'll shut off this power coming in here, and we'll turn the breaker back on, so the power will be funneling from the street. But it's kind of interesting now to see how long, this is the first time ever we're having the house running on batteries and not the generator. So if this battery bank right now is fully charged, it's about a 15,000 watt hour battery bank, and we have starting here at 41%. So 41% of 15,000. So what is that, like 5,000-6,000, something like that? So we'll see how long this will last. Of course, it depends on what we're doing. Try not to do anything, The house generator uses approximately 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of propane an hour. Now that, sometimes we have power outages here for hours, for days. We've had it for like a week or two as well. And that never stops. That just continuously, provides propane to the house generator until you run out of propane. We have a really large tank, so we don't really run out of propane. We just use up a lot of propane. So we have this connected to their Renogy 1. So you can see it says 40% there now and 40% on the phone. So we can go in the house and keep an eye on what's going on. We're communicating with my mother-in-law is in the house, and so we're out in the shop here asking her, are you hearing anything? Is the power going on? Over, just doing a test.
I hear you loud and clear. Over.
Okay, so currently this is estimating that we have 5 hours of use here. So 5 hours of use at current draw. Now if we were using propane during that time, 5 hours, so 5 times 6 is 30, so that's about $30 in propane that we would save if we're using this system instead. And that's for 5 hours. Of course, if this was a different situation, right now this is not hooked up to the solar array that we're building, and it's raining. But if we were prepared in the sense that the batteries were fully, topped up, and we had, more coming in, then, you could just keep going for a long time, and it would be refilled, which is the whole idea of solar, right? I mean, that's why you do it. I mean, in terms of like your carbon footprint, this reduces that a lot because you're not using the propane. Now, often when people use solar panels, they don't have a battery system, so it's directly going into whatever they're using. So this is a lot more efficient, being able to store it in the event of something like this. Now, we're only planning on really using it for this in the sense of emergency, like a power outage, and otherwise just kind of keep it to power the shop here and to like charge up the EV. But it's kind of cool that you can actually do this, like flick a switch, and now it's drawing into the house. Our neighbors across the street there, although it's a plane too now, but you can definitely hear it quite clearly, their generator sound. Of course, just write him and ask to let me know when you get power back. I've actually been wanting to do this for a while, testing out this battery system, but we haven't had a power outage in a little while. So this was like a perfect opportunity to try it out. In the past, we've had them sometimes. I think the longest one we had was like 10 days. Of course, you know, frequently we get ones that, you know, maybe last an hour or two, but then a couple days is a long time. And the other thing that's really great now is that there's no sound, right? That's one of the really annoying thing about the house generator, is that it's just so loud. It's loud everywhere. It's loud outside, but it's loud inside too. It just permeates everything. So suddenly you don't have that. It's just quiet. And now, as we were walking out of the shop now, it actually altered its estimation again to 8 hours. I guess, you know, the usage went down, it dropped it. But the only things that we're really powering right now that are necessary, of course, is the fridge and the water pump. The water pump doesn't go on that often though. It goes on, you know, every now and then if we use a lot of water. And I mean, that's cool, but if we're trying to not use too much power, we can just like not use too much water right now either. I'm really kind of kicking myself for not making sure that the batteries were fully charged. Of course, you don't expect a power outage, but that would have been cool. We are now like down to like 30%. The weather, it's quite the downpour here. I mean, this is Virginia though. We get these kinds of weathers. I was just checking the website. It sounds like our power might come back tonight to 2 a.m. between 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock at night, something like that. So we're not going to have enough battery power to last to like 2 p.m. Maybe till 8 p.m. But I think we're going to switch over the system. You know, because the other thing too, you don't want to run these batteries down all the way either, because then you can damage the battery. So we have about 10% left to go. But cool, we have, you know, saved a little bit of money in propane, or, you know, we don't really have that much propane in the tank right now, so it's not being depleted quite as far. But this is the reason why this project back here is so important, because you really want to have that solar coming in. We were just checking with this. We have some solar on the back of the workshop wall, right? And you can see this weather here. We have 6 panels up there, and we were getting like 150 watts coming in, which still is something, you know? It's pouring rain, and I mean, that's just kind of ambient lighting though, right? So something is coming in, and if we had those panels here, something would still be coming in. And it fluctuates. So, of course, this is all a luxury. I mean, in really, you don't need anything. Or the fridge freezer to not lose all your food. It's kind of, you know, we just went grocery shopping today too, so it's very stocked up. So that alone, you know, is hundreds of dollars that you can lose in a power outage otherwise, especially if it lasts for a while. So this is coming along. We need to cap that, you know, a couple of areas to cap, figure out you know, do the door a little bit, trim, you know, this is just a house I'm talking about. A couple of things to work on in the house. Just a lot of finishing stuff, painting, trim, and then, of course, we have also moving on to the whole setup with gravel underneath and finish up the pergola roofing and then putting the solar panels on top. Okay, so just switched off the system. You can hear the house generator now. It is rather loud, so that is on. So the battery system went to like 10%, which is rather on the low side. But we had it running for a couple of hours, which is kind of cool. Definitely got me encouraged to set this up for future use, because who wants to listen to that and spend that money?